Going out with a bang, y'all. Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Heather and as always, I'm reading with a vengeance and I hope you are too. Big thank you to all you OGs who keep coming back, and if you're new to my channel, very warm welcome to you. I hope everybody is doing very well. I'm pretty sure I said in my last haul video that it was going to probably be my last for a while. I don't know how it happens. I work in a bookstore, I get books for free. I mean, what would you do? But yes, it's happened. I have 10 books here to talk to you about. It is my last haul of the year, so there's that. But honestly, if I keep working at the bookstore, I can't say in good conscience that I'm going to limit myself to taking home free books. But anyways, I'm super excited about this particular group of books. There are some exciting ones in here. So yeah, and if you're new to my channel, just know I don't break the bank buying new books all the time. I work in a bookstore. I have access to ARCs. I have access to books that, if they're damaged, get donated. So me and my coworkers have first dibs, and just several other ways that I get books without spending a ton of money. In my defense, I don't bring them home willy-nilly. I only bring home the books that I am truly interested in reading. At any given time, there are at least 100, probably closer to 200 ARCs that are on the shelf in the back of the store that we can peruse. I only bring maybe 3 or 4 of them home at a time. And then once I read them, I bring them back. And then once they're published, they're donated. Enough rationalizing my habits. Let's talk about the books I brought home. In no particular order, the first one I'm going to talk about is 3 by Valerie Pin or Pin. There was something about this cover that got my attention. And then when I read the synopsis, I think this is definitely something I'm going to enjoy. This particular one was nibbled on by a cat, which is how most of the books that are damaged get damaged. We have shop cats, y'all. So anyways, this one is contemporary fiction, a suspenseful story about the ties that bind us and the choices that make us who we are. 1986, we have Adrian, Etienne, and Nina. They're 10 when they meet at school and they quickly become inseparable. They promise each other to one day leave their provincial backwater, move to Paris, and never part. 2017, a car is dragged up from the bottom of a lake. Virginie, a local journalist with a mysterious past, is reporting on the case. She also reflects on the relationship between Adrian, Etienne, and Nina, as thick as thieves when they were young, but who no longer speak. This tells a moving story of love and loss, hope and grief, friendship and adversity, and of time as an eluctable agent of change. So yeah, we got women, we got relationships between women, we've got a past and a present timeline. So yeah, this sounded like it was definitely up my street. It's a little bit of a chunker, so there's that, but yeah, I'm excited about this one. This next one is an ARC, but it comes out December 5th. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this video, but it could already be out by the time you're watching this. This is The Other Mothers by Catherine Faulkner. This is a mystery thriller. She is the author of a book called Greenwich Park. I'm not really familiar with that. She sees them at her son's new playgroup, The Other Mothers, a group of sleek, sophisticated women who live in a neighborhood of tree-lined avenues and stunning houses, the sort of mother Tash herself would like to be. When the mothers welcome her into their circle, Tash discovers the kind of life she has always dreamed of, their elegant London townhouses, a far cry from her cramped basement flat and mounting bills. She is quickly swept up into their wealthy lifestyle via coffees, cocktails, and playdates. But when another young woman is found dead, it's clear there's much more to the community than meets the eye. The more Tash investigates, the more she's led uncomfortably close to the other mothers. Are these women really her friends, or is there another sinister reason why she has been so quickly accepted into their exclusive world? Who exactly is investigating whom? So you know me, I love a good mystery thriller, and I was definitely intrigued by that aspect of this book. Now, I will say that I've had in the past books that center around a mother or a group of mothers where motherhood is kind of the center part of who they are. I've read books with those characters and have not really connected. So I'm hoping there's more to this than that. I'm hoping there's more to those characters than that, but it takes place in London, so that's a tick for me. And we've got murder and differences in class, and so there are other things that intrigue me about this one, so I'm gonna give it a go. I have another arc here, and this is by a well-known author. I think most of us have heard of her, and that is Daughter of Mine by Megan Miranda. I have yet to read Megan Miranda. I have All the Missing Girls on my TBR, I just haven't gotten to it yet. This one comes out in April, and so I'm definitely gonna read it before then. And of course, this one is marketed as a mystery thriller. When Hazel Sharp, daughter of Mirror Lake's longtime local detective, unexpectedly inherits her childhood home, she's warily drawn back to the town and people she left behind almost a decade earlier. But Hazel's not the only relic of the past to return. A drought has descended on the region, and as the water level in the lake drops, long-hidden secrets begin to emerge, including evidence that may help finally explain the mystery of her mother's disappearance. So I think it's clear why I was drawn to this one. Not only is it a mystery thriller, but we have someone returning to their hometown after being gone for a really long time, hidden secrets that emerge, lots of good stuff. I like this cover also very much. Have you guys read Megan Miranda? If there's anybody out there who can give me any insight into her writing, I would love to know. Please comment. And I have started to make the decision that I'm going to try to read as many arcs as possible for review before they're published. We'll see how that goes, but that's my plan. This next one is a book that has been around. It's been very much talked about on Booktube. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, other than, I mean, so many books, so little time. But this was in the damage box, so I was able to get my hands on it, luckily. And that is The Push by Ashley Audrain. Another author I haven't read yet. I think her most recent is The Whispers, but this one got a lot of talk. A lot of people really like this one. Another mystery thriller, if I haven't said so. Good Morning America says hooks you from the very first page and will have you racing to get to the end. Let's keep our fingers crossed that is the case. Blythe Connor is determined that she will be the warm, comforting mother, another mother book, to her new baby Violet that she herself never had. But in the exhaustion of early motherhood, Blythe becomes convinced that something is wrong with her daughter. Ooh, evil child maybe? I'm on board for that. Or is it all in Blythe's head? The more her husband Fox dismisses her fears, the more Blythe begins to question her own sanity. Then their son Sam is born, and with him, Blythe has the blissful connection she'd always imagined with her child. But when their lives are changed in an instant, the devastating fallout forces Blythe to face the truth. Will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood. So this one might be just a ticket for me, even though it has kind of the same thing I was talking about with the previous book. I think this definitely has a different vibe to it. So I don't remember anybody really talking about not liking this book. It's relatively short too, barely 300 pages. So yeah, if you have something to say about this book, I'd love to hear it. This next one is another arc, but it has been published. So much for reading books before they get published. For whatever reason, this cover really drew me in, and that is Homeward by Angela Jackson Brown. Look at this cover, you guys. I love those color combinations. This one's a little bit more of a chunker. What is this one? This one is under 400 pages. This one's marketed as historical fiction. So as you know, I love historical fiction. Georgia, 1962. Oh yes, now I remember. That was another thing that drew me in. Rose Perkins Borden returns home to Parsons, Georgia without her husband and pregnant with another man's baby. After tragedy strikes her husband in the war overseas, a numb Rose is left with pieces of who she used to be and is forced to figure out what she is going to do with the rest of her life. Her sister introduces her to members of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Young people are taking risks and fighting battles Rose has only seen on television. Feeling emotions for the first time in what feels like forever, the excited and frightened Rose finds herself becoming increasingly involved in the resistance efforts. And of course, there is also the young man, Isaac Weinberg, whose passion for activism stirs something in her she didn't think she would ever feel again. Homeward follows Rose's path toward self-discovery and growth as she becomes involved in the civil rights movement, finally becoming the woman she has always dreamed of being. So we have historical fiction dealing with race matters, single motherhood, finding out who you are. So yes, ticks a lot of boxes for me. Hopefully I'll be able to get to this one soon. And for a change, I have a book here that's been out for a while. I want to say it was published in the early 70s, and that is Ruby Fruit Jungle by Rita Mae Brown. This one is another victim of the cats. While I'd heard the title mentioned several times, I wasn't really sure of what it was about. So when I saw it in the box to be donated, I snatched it up. This is fiction with themes of the LGBTQ community. It's got a blurb by Gloria Steinem. Because its heroine dares to be her unique and spirited self, despite society's biases about class and sexuality, Ruby Fruit Jungle has helped generations of readers to do the same. So we have a landmark coming-of-age novel, I love coming of age, that launched the career of one of this country's most distinctive voices. Ruby Fruit Jungle remains a transformative work more than 40 years after its original publication. In body moving prose, Rita Mae Brown tells the story of Molly Bolt, the adoptive daughter of a dirt-poor Southern couple who boldly forges her own path in America. With her startling beauty and crackling wit, Molly finds that women are drawn to her wherever she goes, and she refuses to apologize for loving them back. This literary milestone continues to resonate with its message about being true to yourself and against the odds, living happily ever after. Yes, count me in. I'm here for it. Have you guys read this? I want to know. Relatively short too, so barely over 200 pages. No reason why I can't get through this in a weekend. Okay, we have another mystery thriller and another ARC, Nightwatching by Tracy Sierra. And look at this cover, if you can kind of see the girl's face in the letters. I mean, you can see how the cover kind of drew me in. Is this a debut author? Yes, on top of it, it is a debut novel. Home alone with her young children during a blizzard, a mother tucks her son back into bed in the middle of the night. She hears a noise. Old houses are always making some kind of noise, but this sound is disturbingly familiar. It's the tread of footsteps, unusually heavy and slow, coming up the stairs. She sees the figure of a man appear down the hallway, shrouded in the shadows. Terrified, she quietly wakes her children and hustles them into the oldest part of the house, a tiny secret room concealed behind a wall. There they hide as the man searches for them, trying to tempt the children out with promises and scare the mother into surrender. In the suffocating darkness, the mother struggles to remain calm, to plan to search for an opportunity to find a weapon or escape and get help. But then she catches another glimpse of him, that face, that voice, and at once she knows her situation is even more dire than she'd feared, because she knows exactly who he is and what he wants. Oh my God, I am like sucked in just from the synopsis. Yeah, I feel like I need to put this one on top of the pile because this one feels like it's going to have a lot of tension and be a really quick read. Oh, and if I didn't say, this one comes out in February. Look out for that one. Okay, so this next one I felt super lucky to get my hands on because, as you know, I love Kristen Hanna, and if you watched my November mid-month wrap-up, I think I read her newest one that's coming out in February, The Women, and I absolutely loved it. And after I talked about that book, a lot of you recommended that I read Winter Garden. It's one of her earlier ones, if memory serves, and it's one that I don't think I've heard a whole lot about. Not long after that, I happened to visit a little free library in downtown Savannah, and guess what I found? Yes, Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. So I'm pretty sure this is historical fiction because that's what Kristen Hanna does. And I'm pretty sure most of you know what this is about. But here we go. Mesmerizing from the first page to the last, Winter Garden is one woman's sweeping, heartbreaking story of love, loss, and redemption. Shocker there. At once an epic love story set in World War II Russia and an intimate portrait of contemporary mothers and daughters poised at the crossroads of their lives, it explores the heartbreak of war, the cost of survival, and the ultimate triumph of the human spirit. It is a novel that will haunt the reader long after the last page is turned. I have no doubts about that. 1941, Leningrad, a once magical city besieged by war, cut off from aid, buried in snow. A city full of women desperate to save their children and themselves. The year 2000, loss and old age have taken a terrible toll on Anya Whitson. At last, she will reach out to her estranged daughters. In a halting, uncertain voice, she begins to weave a fable about a beautiful Russian girl who lived in Leningrad a lifetime ago. Nina and Meredith sit spellbound at their mother's bedside, listening to a story that spans more than 60 years and moves from the terrors of war-torn Leningrad under siege to modern-day Alaska. In a quest to uncover the truth behind the story, Nina and Meredith discover a secret so shocking, so impossible to believe, it shakes the foundation of their family and changes who they believe they are. This one is probably going to evoke a few tears. I absolutely love the way Kristen Hanna writes relationships, especially between women, especially between either sisters or mother and daughter, especially since you guys recommended it to me. I have no doubts This is going to be a new favorite of mine. I really, really want to try to get to it sooner rather than later. I'm just really happy that I got my hands on it. Thank goodness for little free libraries. So yeah, from your mouths to whoever's ears. This one I'm not so sure about. This one I picked up because I've heard about the podcast and I heard that they were making a book based on the podcast. And even though I've never listened to the podcast, I don't know. This is a maybe for me, but I wanted to share it with you. And the book I'm talking about is Welcome to Night Vale by Joseph Fink and Jeffrey Craner, based on the #1 international hit podcast. So I'm not sure about this one, but I wanted to grab it while I had the opportunity. This is one of those genre mishmashes. We got fiction, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and I like a good mishmash, but sometimes the fantasy element turns me off. So I'm not so sure about this one. And this one's been out since I think 2015. And there are a couple of blurbs on here who use the word absurd, weird, darkly fantastic situations, which not always are for me. It says, welcome to Night Vale, a friendly desert community somewhere in American Southwest. In this ordinary little town where ghosts, angels, aliens, and government conspiracies are commonplace parts of everyday life, the lives of two women with two mysteries are about to converge. Pawn shop proprietor Jackie Fierro abides by routine, but a crack appears in the standard order of her perpetually 19-year-old life when a mysterious man in a tan jacket gives her a slip of paper marked by two pencil-smudged words, King City. Everything about the man unsettles her, especially the paper that she cannot remove from her hand. Yet when Jackie puts her life on hold to search for the man, no one who meets him can seem to remember anything about him. Diane Creighton's 15-year-old son Josh is moody and a shapeshifter. Lately, Diane has started to see the boy's father everywhere she goes, looking the same as he did the day he left when they were teenagers. Josh is growing ever more curious about his estranged father, leading to a disaster Diane can see coming, but is helpless to prevent. Diane's search to reconnect with her son and Jackie's search to reclaim her routine life draw them increasingly closer to each other and to this place that may hold the key to their mysteries and their futures, if they can ever find it. If you know me, you kind of get an idea of why I was a little bit drawn in by this. We have a relationship between two women. We have separate mysteries that might converge. I mean, I like those ideas, but it's all the other weirdness that might not be for me. So it would have to strike a pretty precarious balance for this one to be for me, but I am going to give it a go. I would love to hear your thoughts about this one if any of you out there have either read it or listened to the podcast. So let me know. Okay, last book I'm actually really excited about. This book I featured on one of my earlier videos of new releases I'm excited about. It's still in hardcover. I had every intention of getting it once it became a paperback, but I didn't have to wait because it was damaged, and just a perk of working in a bookstore. And the book I'm talking about is The Deep Sky by Yume Kitase. This is a mystery / thriller, and it's also a debut novel. So I remember reading the synopsis for this one and being excited about it, which is why I featured it in that video. Not to mention this cover, which I think is gorgeous. For those of you who didn't see that video, it is the eve of Earth's environmental collapse. A single ship carries humanity's last hope, 80 elite graduates of a competitive program who will give birth to a generation of children in deep space. But halfway to a distant but livable planet, a lethal bomb kills 3 of the crew and knocks the Phoenix off course. Asuka, the only surviving witness, is an immediate suspect. Asuka already felt like an imposter before the explosion. She was the last pick for the mission, she struggled during training back on Earth, and she was chosen to represent Japan, a country she knows only partly as a half-Japanese girl raised in America. But estranged from her mother back home, the Phoenix is all she has left. With the crew turning on one another, Asuka is determined to find the culprit before they all lose faith in the mission, or worse, the bomber strikes again. So not only is it sci-fi, and not only is it a mystery thriller, but it looks like we're going to have themes of race. Looks like we're going to have some themes of mother-daughter relationships. That combination of things really, really intrigued me, in addition to it being a debut novel. So I was really excited to get my hands on this, and this will likely be read sooner rather than later. Famous last words, right? But really. And I really haven't seen anybody talk about it on Booktube. So If any of you out there have read this, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So that's it. Those are all the books that I have to talk to you about during this haul. Those are the last books that I will haul for the year, allegedly. But if you have read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts about them. Maybe you want to hear me talk about any one of them in particular. Let me know, and perhaps I'll bump that up the list if it's not already at the top. Or just say hi down in the doodly-doo. If you're still watching at this point, please consider giving that like button a boop, and a subscribe would be wonderful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.